What does make a great manager?
Well, if I take a slightly comical side, I've often said to people the best managers I know are pretty weird. As in,
Nice.
they can be so focused on their craft, if it's stock picking or securities picking of whatever type, they are just extremely focused people who really live and breathe what they do. So that's number one. I don't set out to look for strange people, but I do look for very focused people. And of course you want those focused people to have their money where their mouth is. So if I'm assessing a manager or a fund, straight off there's 4 or 5 things that always come to mind. How much of your money you got in here?
Yep.
I want to know, are they mainly looking after one asset class, one fund? So are they dedicated to that? So often the well-worn path of fund managers, they start off somewhere, do okay. You know, it might be Australian equities, might be smaller companies, Australian equities, a niche area, and then they get good at it. And then they head to larger cap stocks, and then they've got an international fund, and then they've got something else, and they then turn into asset gatherers, which is very different to investment managers. So the best investment managers, I would like to see that their tombstone one day says they achieve great returns as opposed to a great amount of funds under management.
Yeah.
And so to get great returns, it's almost anti-intuitive, but in most asset classes, not all, you've got to keep the amount of money you manage down. So you don't want too much to manage, and to do that and to make it economically worthwhile for you, you've got to have a performance fee. And I've got nothing wrong with performance fees, other than a lot of them play with the maths and have poor hurdles and stuff like that. But if it's a legitimate performance fee, great. I want to see good fund managers feeding themselves well and keeping their FUM low, good returns going from there. So that's a few of the things. I mean, often though you do, I think us who assess fund managers, we often ask the wrong questions. Quite frankly, I'm not that interested in listening to what's in a fund manager's portfolio, because they're probably only going to tell me the good stuff anyhow, or they might volunteer a couple of things that didn't go right. But I'm not really interested in that. I'm really interested in, why are you better than the guy next to you?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, because this is a less than zero-sum game. You know, investment management is, some people do it well, others don't do it as well. Take away fees, and it means on average the sector should do worse than, say, an index. If you're trying to beat an index, it'll be worse on average by the index, less the average fees. So I want to know why you're better than the guy next to you. You know, do you have better systems? Have you got more grey hair? Are you more patient? What is it? Do you have less stocks, greater convictions? So those are questions that really sort out the sheep from the goats.
Yeah.
So the majority of people listening today are Australian advisors who are maybe at a smaller scale but have a similar job to you, separating good managers from bad managers that they want to invest with. So if the right question to ask is, why are you better than your peers? What are some of the things you want to hear in the answer? But similarly, what are some things that you hear in answers that maybe say, that's a red flag?
To start with, as probably goes into that focus, team size. I don't care what people say, brands don't manage money. To me, it's individuals. So often an individual who does well and does it within a brand of their company, then people might think, well, it's the company and they can employ more staff, and this special herbs and spices that this person's got, 11 herbs and spices, they can, sort of package it up and write it down and give it to the person next to them. I don't believe that. I think managing money is very much a people business, and I just want to know the team's small. Small teams is what I look for. As I said before, I want to know how much their money is invested. I want to see a track record. I mean, people often say past performance is no indicator of the future. Well, if it's not, I'd like to know what is then.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in past performance and how you've gone through different cycles and how you act under stress. That's a big thing for me too. Seeing how people acted during the GFC, during COVID, how their portfolios changed, stuff like that.
When you say you're looking at track record, what length of time are you looking at?
So when I choose a fund manager, I'm saddling up for 5 years minimum.
Yeah.
So that's a minimum time period. If at the 3-year mark they're not coming up to expectations, I'll be talking to them more. I'll be trying to figure out their reasons why. But really, funds management is an inexacting science. Great managers, in my view, have poor years as well, or their sector's out of focus, or, great example now, the smaller companies area for the last few years has been not a great area compared to the overall market. Overall market's been dominated, as we know, by the big banks and the top 20 stocks. But there's great smaller company managers. They'll come back into vogue with it as sure as night and day. So you've got to go through full cycles for that type of stuff.
The advisor ratings companies have a pretty big impact on, how advisors can select fund managers and whatnot. How much stock do you put on fund ratings?
I probably put more, surprisingly, than people would think. I think they do a pretty good job.
Right.
For a group of people who aren't paid anything like the sort of the great fund managers, or there's plenty of well-paid fund managers, but they're not. It's not sort of the same there. But I do think, like, if I want to find out about a particular fund manager or product of theirs that I'm interested in, the first thing I will do is go and read the ratings of Zenith, Morningstar, whatever. I learn a lot of pretty good basic stuff from that. But what I have also learned is that the research industry, in the main, is a trailing industry, if I call it that. They're judging, writing, opining on things of the past. It doesn't necessarily get into stuff that's more a sixth sense or a gut feel. I can read a rating report, get up to speed with the basics, and then I want to sit with the manager and talk more about things that I might pick up in body language or style that just wouldn't be in a report. But I think they do a really good base job. I think it's very good.
Yeah.
Underrated sector.
No, nice.
Okay.
Well, although having said that, it's interesting that ratings houses, as you guys would know, private equity has been buying and owning those.
Yeah.
Over time, there's very good returns through the owners if you do your work right.